I recently watched some videos by some of my favourite YouTubers, AtomicShrimp and Click for Taz, absolute icons by the way, where they tried to live on £1 for a day. Now, if I was still in my home country, Scotland, I'm pretty confident that I could pull this off because I know the supermarket landscape. When I was watching their videos, they did employ a lot of tricks that I imagine had I been still living in the UK, I also would have implemented, such as visiting the discount section, shopping at Lidl, and buying everyday items from the very bottom shelving. But here in Madrid, I am completely out of my depth. I don't even know what time the discount section starts, assuming that they have one at all. Food in Madrid is also, in my opinion, quite expensive. To give you some perspective on Madrid's food costs, a large Big Mac meal at McDonald's costs €7.35 and the price of a regular sandwich is around €2.30. This makes a euro feel like a very, very small amount of money. So I thought this would be a really fun challenge to try and emulate this concept, but instead of doing it in my home country, doing it in Madrid. Just to see if I can do it, you know. I'm quite interested to see if I have the ability to work with a €1 budget for the day. I also want to point out that a euro is actually less money than a pound, so this is going to be even harder. That's it. I'm going to try and live for €1 for a day. Let's do this. So let's start with the rules of this challenge. Rule 1. You cannot rely on friends and family to give you free food. Not that I have any of those in Madrid anyways. Rule 2. You cannot ask strangers for food. Rule 3. You can accept free food when a major capitalist organisation offers it to you, usually by downloading their app. And finally, you cannot pay small amounts to use items you already have. By this I mean you cannot pay 2 pence for a piece of butter, for example. The time right now is 11:04, which I think is maybe going to make this challenge a little bit easier because at this point we're kind of right now we are sort of entering brunch territory time, so I have a slight feeling that we can make this easier by instead of having 3 meals of 33 pence, instead we could do 2 larger meals of 50 pence. So maybe that will make this more achievable. We'll see. The first plan for the day is to hit up the hypermarkets. Let me give you some perspective on the Madrid supermarket landscape. That's a sentence I never thought I'd say. Since moving here a year ago, there have been 5 main supermarkets I've shopped at. Number 1, Carrefour. Quite a nice experience overall. You can really take your time in the bagging area, which I do enjoy. There's a lot of self-checkouts as well, meaning little to none human interaction on every visit. Perfect. Downside, kind of expensive. And they claim to be 24 hours, but quite often when I get there they're shut. Disappointing. Supermarket number 2, Dia. Cheaper than Carrefour, but I do also think the quality is a little bit worse. I made the mistake of buying the British tea once. Worst experience of my life. Insulting. Their Spanish tortillas are quite nice though, and it's also the closest walking distance to my house, so I do end up going there a lot. 3 stars. Supermarket number 3, Mercadona, the land of the frozen foods. Has some edgy foods none of the other supermarkets offer. Can't do your whole shop here though, as in my opinion some very normal items are missing from the shelves, but the ones they do have are very good quality. 4 stars. Next to be rated, we have Lidl. This is home territory, my favourite supermarket back in the UK. Someone once said to me that shopping at Lidl was a satisfying experience, and I could not agree with this more. No matter how cheap you think the shop is going to be, Lidl is always cheaper. Bagging area is exceptionally stressful, but worth it for the price. 5 stars, would rate 6 if I could. Finally, we have Alcampo. I don't go here a lot to be honest, mainly because they don't have one close to my house. It seems to be more of a hypermarket style supermarket. It has everything and multiple versions of it, which is exactly why I decided to start my €1 challenge by visiting here.
After spending more on the transport to the shop than she was going to be able to spend in the shop, logic. Eli was ready to begin her €1 challenge.
My expectations of Alcampo were pretty high. Look at the size of this place. I was really expecting to have massive amounts of options, which to be fair they did have, but it didn't really come at the price level I was expecting. The cheapest pasta I could find was 44 pence, which, whilst cheap, was pretty much half of my budget for the day. The cheapest rice was 46 pence. Even worse. The other thing that surprised me was that I was really expecting the tin foods to be a good place to help me out, and they were surprisingly expensive. So after an hour and a half of my life wandering around the store, I eventually settled on the following 2 items. The smallest onion I could find coming in at 4 cents, and a packet of soup at 37 cents. making a grand total of 41 cents.
After the disappointment of Alcampo, Eli went to a local veg shop to try and find some cheaper veg.
The Frin veg shop was actually way more successful. I got a potato for 19 cents and a pepper for 7 cents. With 33 cents remaining, I really felt like I was missing some sort of filling carbohydrate. I turned to the one supermarket that has got me through every other dark time in my life. Yup, you guessed it. The one, the only, Lidl. Lidl was like a saviour, a breath of fresh air. Every time I enter that shop, I still cannot get over how cheap Lidl is. That is what you call a spiritualistic moment with the universe.
After 3 hours of food shopping, it was finally time for Eli to go home and make some food. Yay.
Okay, so this was by far the roguest. Oh my god, is it leaking? Yeah, it is leaking. Okay, we need to be careful. This was by far the roguest purchase that I purchased today. When I was buying it, I was thinking to myself, you are spending more than a third of your budget on a soup here. This is going to provide other things that the rest of the items that I bought aren't going to provide. This has everything we need. This has preservatives, monosodium glutamate, salt. This is the flavour of the meal. Let me talk you through the lunch vision here. So I'm going to make myself a rather large sandwich using half of the world's smallest onion, all of the pepper. I'm going to try and make it into a sauce using the soup, and then I'm going to put it on the bread. Okay, let's do this. I don't have any access to oil. I tried to find some in a shop, like the little sachets, but I didn't manage it, so we're gonna have to dry fry this. Cooking gods, please forgive me. So just if you're wondering, yes, I literally made an ASMR cooking video of my €1 meal. Enjoy. Okay, so here we are, meal one. I'm making a sandwich. So I have about half of the bread, slightly less than. I might make some more. Voila. And then here's the first meal. I used the soup to sort of try and make like a jelly consistency with the peppers, just to make it more filling and to also add some salt. It tastes okay. Very mushroomy. Maybe even a little bit too salty because I guess it's so concentrated, but let's give it a go. Okay, here's my sandwich. Check glaze is quite runny. It is not that bad. Considering how little we paid for it, like it's actually quite nice. There's an issue that all of the food filling is just falling out, but a deconstructed sandwich is pretty hipster anyway.
Success. Let's talk about dunch, dinner and lunch.
Okay, so the time right now is 9 PM, so I'm gonna make some din-dins. Pretty hungry. So for my dinner, I'm going to make a soup using the remaining half of the onion, some of the potato, probably not all of it, the rest of the soup packet from earlier, and then I'm gonna eat it with the remaining of the bread I have. Simple. I don't really cook with potato very often. This just feels like instinctively a lot of potato. Like it's a big potato. Cue the ASMR dunch cooking video. Basically, whatever video phase I'm going through, we all get forced to go through together on my channel when I'm editing. So if you're not going through any ASMR phase, sorry for putting you through this. So here's dinner. I have an absolutely massive bowl of soup and I'm gonna finish it with some of the bread from earlier. The soup is honestly fine. If anything, it's a little bit salty, which is because I did not follow the instructions, but I was worried about the added potato and onion it not being too salty. But it's also quite thick, so I feel like it's gonna be a reasonably satisfying meal.
Success. Eli was so busy eating that she did not voice any other thoughts or opinions about her €1 meals.
Hey guys, so you have a week later editing me talking at you now, but I basically spent every free minute in the past week that I've had editing this video, and I was trying to think of a good way to sum it up, and basically I think maybe it would be fun to do sort of like a what did we learn, like ultimate conclusions sort of style ending. So that's what we're going to do. 1. The big thing. I think we can conclude that it is definitely possible to live on €1 a day in Madrid. Would you want to? I'm not so sure because I did eat some really weird foods, but you could definitely do it. I think though it's important to differentiate between the fact that I did it for fun and there was no pressure there versus somebody who would actually have to do it to live. The mental energy that I use just to do it for one day, I think if you need to do that every day, it would be exhausting. So that's that conclusion. 2. I went way too heavy on the potato size. I could have bought a potato 4 times smaller and had about 15 cents left over to spend on another vegetable. If I ever do this challenge again, buy a smaller potato. 3. I think I wasted a lot of time going to other random shops trying to find like budget value items. If you ever find yourself doing the challenge, I would just head directly to Lidl. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching this video as always. Please feel free to leave any comments how you would approached it. I love reading them as always. Yeah, thank you guys. See you later.